All right, boys and girls, Benjamin Bok Choi here, back with another F1 video breakdown. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the 2026 Grand Prix, Japanese Grand Prix, and the incident involving Ali Bearman and Franco Colapinto. Now, I did watch some videos after the race. Some people blaming Franco, some blaming Ali, the majority agreeing that the regulations are to blame. I fall into that category. I believe the regulations are to blame as well. I don't blame the drivers, although I do think the drivers made some decisions that were unfortunate that kind of contributed to the incident. But the majority of the blame, if not all of the blame, should be on the regulations. So let's kind of get into it. But before we watch the actual crash, let's take a look at the lap before, and I can kind of pinpoint some of the things that I think the drivers could have done. So this is lap 20 going on 21, coming out of the hairpin here. I can't remember which racing pool that is in front of Franco. I think it might be Lindblad. Some cars had already made pit stops at this point. But watch how they react to this first kink in the straight, the flat out section of this track here. First kink, they kind of get spit out towards the middle of the track. And then the second kink, they're kind of right on the curb there, and they stay to the right to eventually open up for Spoon, the Spoon curve, the next corner coming up here. So you can see everybody's sticking pretty much to the right-hand side after the second kink in the flat-out section there. So let's jump to the crash lap. Okay, so here we are on the crash lap, and just to kind of set this up, it's lap 22 or lap 21 going on to 22. I don't know if I said that for the previous lap, but the previous lap was lap 20 going on to 21. This is 20 going on to 20. 21 going on to 22. Jeez. Franco doesn't have overtake to the car ahead, but Ali does have overtake to Franco, because I think Franco was 1.1 or 1.2 seconds behind the Racing Bull. And then Ali was only half a second behind. So he's got overtake mode on. I want you to focus on a couple things. One, the racing line that Franco takes. Two, the corrections he's making on the wheel. Three, the engine noise. The audio that you're hearing is Franco's onboard. And number four, the light on the back of Franco's Alpine here. All right, so just keep that in mind, and then we'll watch this at full speed. Here we are in the hairpin, heading to the flat out section. And then we get the crash. So yeah, a couple little things that I noticed there that kind of contributed to this. What was the first one? The racing line. So as you saw in the previous lap, as they came up to this red and white curb here, everybody pretty much hugged the curb and then stayed to the right side of the track. But look how far Colapinto kind of drifts off to the middle. Look at where he's at right now. He is literally right in the middle. Now, he is allowed to make a move, but I think he moves a little bit late. A little bit late. Now, I'm not saying it's super egregious. I'm not saying it's Nikita Mazepin levels of late, but he does move a little bit late, because here he's still right on the red and white curbs. And then if we go, like, say 25% here, watch this. Still there. And right as Ali starts moving over, he kind of notices that Ali's closing in really, really quick. He starts moving towards the middle of the track, and he comes all the way out here. You can almost fit, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can fit another car here to the right-hand side of Franco. And I can understand why Ali reacted the way that he did. You know, it's a right-hand curve there in a flat out section. And he sees Franco is starting to drift over and probably thinks he's about to get squeezed off the track here. So I can understand why he kind of overreacts a little bit. I think he overreacts a little bit. But before we get to what he does, Franco is also, I think he's a little distracted. Take a look at his hand here. He's making changes to the steering wheel just as Ali is coming up right behind him. He's peeking, and then he makes a little he flicks something or he hits a button on the steering wheel just as Ali kind of disappears from his right-hand mirror. Take a look at that again. Closing in, closing in, closing in. He's tracking him, and then just as Ali starts moving over to the left, he's looking down to make the switch change, and then when he looks up, Ali is no longer on the right-hand side. So I think Franco gets distracted a little bit with that steering wheel setting change there. And then when he when he looks in the mirror and doesn't see Ali anymore, I think he kind of starts thinking, I have to pinch him to the inside of the track. Now, I don't think he, yeah, there's still a good chunk of room here. I think he reacts a little bit late, but I don't think he squeezed him off or anything like that. So I don't think he did anything overtly wrong here. And another interesting thing is you can hear his engine, the engine tone change as he shifts up, 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 and then shifts back down to start harvesting early. And I don't know why, but the light doesn't start blinking on the back of his car to let Ali know that he's going to be slower than usual. So let's take a look at that again. Listen to the engines, the gear changes, change the tone of the engine. It's up, 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 and then he shifts back down, and you can hear the revs just like spike. And then back down. And you can see the lights do flash really quick, but not when he downshifts. 1, 2 blinks. And then when he shifts back down into a lower gear, the lights just go off. So I'm not really sure why that happens like that. I always thought that when the car is in harvest mode or not going as fast. So I don't know what the conditions are to set that light off. But I think that could have also thrown Ali off as well. That's not Franco's fault. I don't think it's Franco's fault anyway. But even with everything that Franco does there, distracted for like a split second, losing visual contact on Ali, and then kind of drifting off to the right a little bit there. I think Ali doesn't do himself any favors here either. He kind of reacts a little bit too much. And I still think there's plenty of room there. So he must have just opened up the steering a little bit too much, a little too early. And then once you get on the grass there, it's just see you later. Like there's still here, he's just about to go off onto the grass. And there's still probably about 2 feet of space between Ali and Franco there. So again, an unfortunate series of events there that led Ali into the wall. I think he hit the wall with like over 50 G's of force, or just about 50 G's of force. Glad to see that he was up and walking later on in the paddock. It was concerning to see him limping a little bit right after the crash, but I believe luckily there wasn't a serious injury, no broken bones or anything like that, just like a muscle contusion or something. And he'll probably be sore tomorrow morning and for the next couple of days, but luckily for him and everybody else, there's a 5-week break. So yeah, I think Franco does something, or could have done some things to avoid that. I think Ali could have done something to avoid that, but I think the big issue here obviously is regulations. There shouldn't be that much of a difference in closing speed between both cars, and I think obviously the battery producing so much power for the car at certain points in the race is a big issue there. So, like I said, I'm not blaming the drivers there, and I hope to God that Franco doesn't get any death threats like his fans did send to Ocon in the last race weekend. But I hope that the regulation changes that the FIA are thinking about after this Grand Prix will help that. The only thing I'm worried about is how long it's going to take for those effects to change, or effects to take place. Because not only are they going to have to change the regulations, but then the teams are going to have to go back and change their cars to make sure that they meet the standards for those regulations. So even if they make changes tomorrow, the Monday after the race, it's still going to take a couple of weeks for the teams to get the changes onto the car, and then on top of that to get the changes dialed in, the cars dialed in. So I hope that the changes are feasible. and I did talk about this in a little while back. Somebody misinterpreted what I was saying when I said I hope they don't make knee jerk. They don't have knee jerk reactions to changing the regulations. I didn't mean that we don't know what the problems are. We've known the problems with the regulations since preseason. What I don't want to happen is for them to just want to change the regulations so quickly that they start making negative changes that negatively affect the racing because they just wanted to get something changed quickly and fix the racing. They have 5 weeks, plenty of time. Even if they made the changes tomorrow, it's still going to take the teams time to change their cars anyway. So I hope that everybody from the FIA to the teams and the drivers, I hope they take their time to just kind of make sure that whatever is going to be fixed with the regulations is fixed properly and it doesn't make the racing any worse. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's it for me. I don't think anybody's to blame again. I think obviously it's the regulations, but I just wanted to point out the one or two things I noticed that I think maybe is what's causing certain F1 fans to blame one driver or the other. I don't think it was either one. I think it was just a combination of a bunch of things. And ultimately, I think the regulations are to be blamed. So that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think on my breakdown of this and what you thought happened during the incident, and if you agree with me or not. I will see you guys in the next one.